Hey guys, this is NHSDL06. Hello, and welcome to Let's Play Fire Emblem, Genealogy of the Holy War. So the introductory scene has shown that Castle Jungby has been taken over by Verdane barbarians, and Sigurd, Noish, Alec, and Arden of Castle Chalphy have been brought out to win it back. So, now that we have the opportunity to get a look at some of the characters, let's go ahead and do so. Our main lord of the game, and lord of the first half of this game, is Sigurd. I'm not really a huge fan of that name, and I'm not exactly sure how to say it, but I did do some research and found that his name is partially a play on the name Siegfried, from Norse mythology. However, there are certain elements of mythology that conflict with him being named Siegfried, so that's probably why he's not named that. So anyway, let's go ahead and take a look at Sigurd. He is a Lord Knight, and like I said, he is the Lord for the first half of the series. And by looking at his stats, you can tell that he is quite competent, which is strange, because most Lords in the Fire Emblem series start off quite weak and frail, and unable to hold their own in battle. So Sigurd is atypical. Now, you might be thinking that is incredible for a first stage lord to have 14 strength and the rest of those base stats. However, Sigurd is not your average lord, as he is already promoted. So that's just something to keep in mind. Now, from time to time, I'm going to be showing special cards that I've made. They are the cards themselves I was able to get from the Fire Emblem trading card game, but I went ahead and shopped in some of the growth rates for the characters that you can see. And these growth rates, for those of you who are interested, and I'll explain what this means later, but these growth rates are taking into account each character's holy blood. So we'll worry about that later, but you're going to go ahead and see a card of those for each of the characters so we can get a good understanding of the kind of growth that they'll have throughout the first 6 chapters that we'll be seeing them. So, taking a look at Sigurd, he already has a Mastery of Swords, and he has a B in Lances. And as you can see, he has 2 Leadership Stars, so that will contribute to the hit and evade of the rest of the characters under his command. Now, as you can see, he has 9 moves, so he is able to cover a lot of distance, and he has 5,000 gold. Now, we'll worry about some of these other elements later when they actually come into play, but for now, let's go ahead and take a look at his special skill. It is Pursuit, which, as long as you have a higher speed than your opponent, you are able to attack them twice in a row. Now, this is one of the very few instances in which you're able to do so. It's very infrequent that you will be able to attack an enemy unless you have a skill, and I don't even think it's possible in some circumstances that you would be able to attack somebody twice without a skill that necessitates the ability. So that is the case. Now, if we go in one more screen down, here is the Wheel of Holy Blood. These are the holy weapons that you saw at the beginning of the game in the opening scene. And as you can see, Sigurd has a big blue dot next to Baldo, and it is glowing, and that means that he has major holy blood, which gives him significant bonuses. Some characters have major holy blood and some have minor, but that will be discussed when we detail each character. So that is Sigurd the Lord Knight. Next, on the left, here we have our Red Knight, Noish. That name is very strange to me, and it feels strange to say it, but regardless, Noish he takes after more of the, I'd say he is a Kent type of character in terms of how he acts. However, his bases and his growth rates will lead you to believe that he is more similar to a Sane or an Alan from Fire Emblem 6. So as you can see, he's got high strength, low skill and speed, so he's more of your prototypical Red Knight. And this is actually the game where the Red and the Green Knight essentially got their forthcoming. So this is where this has come from. You can see he only has 2,000 gold, and I'll explain what gold means later. He's got a B ranking in swords and a C in lances, and at some point you'll see his growth card. And his skills are critical, which In certain circumstances, I think it's skill divided by 2% chance he will have a critical for an opponent, or duel. Now, for those of you who have one of the translation patches for this game, there was one that was released, I believe just a couple weeks ago, that went ahead and changed some of the names. And what I mean by that is that the skills were updated to be more relevant to newer Fire Emblems, so that way they would keep in line with the skills that people are probably more familiar with, starting with Fire Emblem 8 and going all the way up through 10. So some of the names have changed. For instance, going back to Noish's card, he's no longer called a Social Knight, he's a Cavalier. And I believe Duel was also called Continue. So the names have been changed slightly. Now, third, Alec. He is another Cavalier, and he follows the role of the Green Cavalier very well, as you can see. His strength isn't quite as high as Noish's, however, he has higher skill and higher speed, therefore giving him a faster reputation. So, taking a look at him, he has a B in swords and C in lances as well, and his 2 skills are Pursuit, like Sigurd, and Nihil. So, hopefully those will, come into play later. And these 2 don't have any Holy Blood, as well as Arden, so I'm not going to bother by showing that. Finally, Arden. He is your prototypical knight. He is a sword armor in this game. He does not have the opportunity to carry lances, so that's a little different. He's got high strength and high defense and low everything else, so, what do you expect from a knight? He has a B in swords, and his special skill is Vantage, so when low on HP, he'll attack first. So these skill names have been changed. If you've played this game with the more widespread patch, you'll see that these skills will not line up. So these skills that you'll be seeing, the names are more along the lines of what they are in newer Fire Emblems. So without wasting too much time, I'd like to give you guys the opportunity to see some gameplay, so why not? I'm going to go ahead and start out by moving Sigurd here as far down as possible. Now, this Fire Emblem is a little different than other Fire Emblems because you don't really have the opportunity to take your time. What I mean by that is that sometimes you can go in like a large cluster of your units, and then at some point, you'll fight hordes of enemies. That'll happen later, but for now, you really have to split up. So what I'm going to do is, at this point, Alec and Noish are going to be headed to the west. There's a village down there that they're going to save, not before stopping in to save this one as well. Arden is going to back them up, and Sigurd is going to head to Jungby. So let's go ahead and end our first turn. So as you can see, Gandalf has taken Lady Ideen and has effectively put Midir out of commission. He's going to take Ideen all the way with him back to Evans. We'll be heading there last. And now we have our first enemy turn. Now, you might think that sending Sigurd out by himself is a poor choice, but he is more than capable of handling things for himself, as you'll soon be able to see. I mean, he is essentially a promoted character after all, so he'll be fine. Now, there's multiple ways to handle every chapter, but I'm going to be doing things in a way that are most conducive to my playing style. This game, I mean, I wish I could say that... well, there you go, you got to see him using continue, or duel. In terms of how I like to play this game, I like to do a mixture of being aggressive as well as playing defense. So I wish I could just say that I was going all out aggressive or all out defense, but you really have to play a mixture of both, and you have to be very, very, very smart. Now, we have a little visit from two new characters. Alright, so before we call it a day, I'm going to go ahead and go through one more of my own turns, and then we'll wrap things up. So, our two new characters, let's go ahead and get to know them. This is Azelle. He is a mage, and he is quite good. He has 5,000 of his own gold. In this game, gold isn't handled in terms of a community pot where everybody can pull from it. Instead, each character has their own individual gold that they can get by saving villages and selling and trading weapons. But we'll worry about that later. For now, we'll take a look at Azelle. He has a proficiency in fire, but you can always raise his proficiency in thunder and wind as well. Now, much like the weapon triangle, the magic triangle is a little bit different in this game because light and dark magic aren't quite as prevalent. Instead, the anima or anima magic is its own weapon triangle. So, we'll come to that in due time. Now, taking a look at Azelle's blood, you can see that he has a dot next to Fala, which means that he has minor blood because it is not glowing. So, that is Azelle, and you'll see his growth rate card throughout this. Next, we have his friend, Lex, the Axe Knight. Lex is a pretty fantastic character. As you'll see, he has great defensive growths, and that's mainly due to his holy blood that he has. He is proficient in axes, as you can see. And his two skills are Vantage, so in the opportunity of him being attacked when he's low in HP, he will always go first, which is pretty useful when he's being ambushed, as well as Paragon. So he doesn't have any trouble gaining experience, so if you're afraid of him falling behind in battle, that shouldn't be an issue. Just feed him a few kills and he'll get double the experience. It's quite nice. And his blood, he has Nair blood, or Nair, I'm not sure you'd quite say that, or Nair, however you'd like, and it is minor blood as well. So that is Lex, and you'll see his growth rates as well. So, going back, let's go ahead and move Sigurd one more time, and we'll put him down here. It's not really too much of an issue with sending him off by himself, because Sigurd's role, after all, is to save this village and to rendezvous at Jungby. So that's where Sigurd is headed. Now, everybody else, on the other hand, has their own individual roles that they'll be fulfilling at any one time. Now, because Alec is one level lower than Noish, I'm going to start feeding him some more kills to get him caught up. Now, I like to play in a manner that's going to give my characters the opportunity to abstain from being hit. So that's my goal. I mean, they will most likely be hit at some point, but I'm going to try to keep them out of harm's way. So for now, we're going to try to save this village. Every village is comprised of, I think, 6 squares, and maybe 5. But each village starts at 5,000 gold. And every time a bandit, or in this game I believe they're called mountain thieves, every time a mountain thief gets the opportunity to attack a village, they will take away 500 of the gold. So you essentially have 10 turns to save a village before they'll go to waste. Now, the nice thing about villages is that these mountain thieves, as you can see, will only focus on doing so. You have the opportunity to attack as much as you want without them retaliating. The only time they'll retaliate is when you have attacked them. They won't counterattack you on their own turn. They'll only focus on burning the village down. So, now we have the opportunity to see Azelle and Lex in action for the first time. Villages, as well as trees, will give you a terrain bonus of 20% to your defense. I believe it's defense. It might be evasion. I'm not sure. But, and when I say I'm not sure, that's because this run-through is semi-blind. I have an idea of what I'm doing, and I've played Fire Emblem quite a bit, but realistically, I haven't actually delved into this game too deep, so we'll see how things go. Anyway, so we're going to go ahead and put Azelle right here on this forest and have him attack from a distance. Now, as is the case for magic, when you attack somebody from a 2 range, like this, they're not going to be able to attack you back unless they have a ranged weapon. As he did not, he was unable to attack me. Therefore, I don't have to fear being counterattacked. Now I'm going to place Lex right here on this village. He's actually going to be responsible for saving this one over here. So, Azelle's going to stay around here. He'll eventually come up here and collect the 5,000, because this village will be completely safe, and Lex will make his way over there. But that will happen next time. Guys, thanks for watching. I've been NHSDL06, and I'll see you next time.